What's up, everybody? A Sparrow with a Gun here from Sleepless Nights with another episode on the Space Engineers Inspiration series. We're starting things off today with the D-37 or D-37 Timberwolf. Now, this actually looked a bit familiar to me. I was like, this looks really cool, but I feel like I've seen it before. And then as I was reading the description for it, I realized probably why. I don't know that I featured the original one or not in a previous episode of the Inspiration series. However, the description does say that this is essentially a retrofit or a Mark II, essentially, that it's been kind of optimized and redone for the newer version of the game with some of the newer features. And so I was like, oh, that's probably why I feel like I've seen this before, because I probably have. Whether I featured it or not, I probably noted it in my head. But yeah, it's a really cool design. I really like it. Again, it kind of has a design that I really need to figure out either what the name is or go ahead and name it. But there's kind of that V design that is very typical in a lot of different spaceships in both media and this game, where you've got kind of the forward bow, but then you've got a little bit of these like side pods where typically your thrusters and everything are. So it kind of follows that convention. I do feel like I've seen at least, if it wasn't this ship, it was a similar one before, because I almost feel like I recognize this bridge design a bit more. So it was either by the same builder or it was the older version of this ship. I'm not sure. I know I've featured the builder before because I recognize that logo. And the door is back here. So again, sometimes builders do a lot of the same things, but sometimes it's also because you've featured this before. And when it's a retrofit type design, I'm not really sure which is which. But really cool. I still like it, though. I guess that's kind of the testament that if you still like something, or you didn't realize you'd already shown it before, and then you're like, oh, this looks cool, I guess that's kind of a testament to you actually liking the ship. Now, one thing that did catch my eye, which I noticed, I had a conversation on my Discord server the other day about what qualifies ships for the Inspiration series, and I was kind of like, I don't really have a checklist or a rhyme or reason. I guess the closest rhyme or reason you could get to is, ooh, pretty. That's about as scientific as I can get. Typically, though, I usually try and feature ships that either have a cool aesthetic design or do something interesting with the way they're constructed, because, again, the whole point of the series is to inspire new builders or people that want to improve, like me, to find new techniques, right? So, part of it... Ooh, this is really cool. Oh, this is cool. Okay, so I'm adding suspended glass to the list. Not just glass, suspended glass. Oh, that's cool. And it's coupled with the new railings as well. Now, wait a minute. Railing diagonal? We have these? I didn't know that. Since when have we had diagonal railings? Well, this changes everything. I gotta find these in the block somewhere. I don't remember ever seeing not only just railings, I thought that was part of the catwalks, but that's got diagonal ones, and this is not a modded build. It just uses the new DLC. Anyway, so yeah, I love that. Oh, that's so cool. In real life, not always the biggest fan of walking on glass, especially above high places, because it kind of freaks me out. Games and sci-fi, though, oh man, glass walkways and things are where it's at for me. Anyway, but yeah, I usually try... Ooh, this is a cool hanger. Nice double-sided hanger. I usually try to feature things that have either a cool look, which helps figure out, what do I want my ship to look like, or has some kind of cool feature in how it's built, like some unorthodox building method that you may not have thought of, which again makes things improved. You're like, oh, this is really cool. I want to use that in my build. Or maybe not looks, but does something interesting. Clang drives are a good example. Gravity drives. Crazy, weird ways of using pistons and things where you get a shape you couldn't normally do. Stuff like that. Aesthetics is obviously the easiest one because I see a cool screenshot, and in the screenshot, the ship looks really neat. So obviously that's going to catch my attention quickest. But if you're not really all that great with aesthetics or something, but you have a cool, unique build or something, or a feature that does something cool, as long as it comes across to where you can tell, then that's fine. And I also try and feature viewer submissions. We actually have a viewer submission this episode coming up, but I try and feature those a little bit with a bit more weight to them as far as priority, that in order to build community interaction and encouragement and stuff like that, if you watch the series and then you go, hey, I have something I'd like shown off for feedback and stuff, I try and put those more than just regular other ships. Like there are some ships where either the aesthetic or something may not normally be something I would have picked, but because it's a viewer, I try and make sure that I use them if I can, just to promote community interaction and things like that, if for no other reason. But there have been a few, like the one I'm going to feature, I think it's next after this one, that are just a cool idea. Like, it may not be necessarily the flashiest or something, but it's actually a neat idea. So anyways, coming back to the original point that started this, there was a conversation about what qualifies for the ship, and I had a couple of people respond before I could even get to it, and it was like, you know, do something cool with it, build it in a neat way, and if you want to like hedge your bet, then use spinny things and stuff, and I about died laughing. And then somebody else commented, oh, make sure there's glass and stuff, and I'm like, people know me. So I'm also adding wood plank interior flooring and stuff to that list. The reason being, I've mentioned this once or twice, but I really like the idea of a luxury spaceship. It kind of makes me feel like, well, you know, when you get to this kind of stuff, you've reached the point where you could have like a cruise ship in space, and it doesn't all have to be like NASA functionality and no room for form because we can barely make the thing work. So yeah, when people are doing these like wood floors and things, it looks really cool to me. I get really excited about that because it's like, ooh, we've got like a luxury yacht thing going on in space. Couple that with stuff like glass, like if you have a wood floor, but then like it's like a lounge or a bedroom or something, and then you've got like this glass dome where you can see out and stuff, that's just super cool. If anybody remembers my I think it was my last Empyrean playthrough, I actually tried to do a build like that, and I ended up stopping the series before I could finish it, but I tried to do something like that where you put a glass dome on top with a wood floor and everything. So now that Space Engineers has that, I'm adding that to the list of things too. So make it look cool, make it a unique way of building it that most people wouldn't think to do, give it a cool functionality that is unique and makes it interesting and makes people go, oh, that's really different. Or, there's always an and. You can add all of these together and make one super interesting ship. And spinny things, lots of glass or see-through areas, which are always cool. And now I'm adding wood floors. That's basically the gist of this conversation. I do apologize, I haven't really been pointing out the build that much, but I think a lot of this ship speaks for itself. You can clearly see like the one back area where the gyroscopes were and stuff like that. So although I didn't point out too many things directly, I hope that was kind of coming through as I was talking. But yeah, like I said, I really do like the wood floors and things on this version, because I feel like I remember the original version and it was before this was a thing. I like this area as well. That's probably... Because again, it feels more like a cruise ship or something when you put wood flooring in. It doesn't feel like a combat ship, or that you're just making it work. You know, it feels like we can not only make this work, we can make it look cool. Kind of like a yacht. You know, those really expensive $400 million yachts and stuff, where it's like, yeah, we can have fishing boats, which they work, but they're not all that fancy. Then you get these crazy yachts, and you're just like, that looks cool. Same effect, same thing. One thing I did want to point out, speaking to the luxury of this build, is that even in the description it mentions this is a bit more of a glass cannon ship, in that it does have firepower, but it's not really designed to take a beating. So keep that in mind if you're on like a multiplayer PvP server or something, that it looks really cool, but it may not survive a severe firefight or something, depending on how crazy everything is. Alright, so what are we looking at here? We've got ion and hydrogen and atmospheric thrusters, so hint hint, should be able to fly in an atmosphere. We have a bow camera, parachutes, merge blocks, probably for docking, connectors for the ship, landing gears, bow camera again, rocket launchers, turret controls, ore detectors, beacons, jump drives, so it can jump. I'm guessing these are override controls, probably for atmospheric re-entry or leaving. Bow camera, port, starboard, landing gear cameras, and then I'm guessing that's all the docking stuff. So really the only thing we're really going to probably mess around with is the rocket launchers, because everything else is kind of automated. But yeah, we've got, let's check out the cameras real quick. So we've got bow, port, starboard, and then that should be a downward or landing gear view, depending on how it's oriented. And then we've got, what is that, four rocket launchers in a cross pattern. So yeah, I've always loved the large grid rocket launchers like these, because they just fire so freaking fast that if you get more than like one or two, it's like machine gun missiles. Alright, so let's see how she flies. With the hydrogen and everything, it accelerates pretty quickly and actually moves really well. So, again, not quite a fighter. I'd probably put it in a Corvette class. That I'm not sure it's a capital ship, but it moves well enough that you could make it kind of a strike vessel. So pretty cool overall. I really like this build. It's kind of a all-purpose, could do a lot of different things. But with that, I think that's going to wrap this one up, so let's move on to the next one. Okay, so remember when I said you should build things if you're looking to try and catch my attention to be put on the inspiration series, that you should try and either build something aesthetically or unique or whatever. This has to be a pretty high up there with unique that I don't think I've run across before, which is why I featured it. This is a viewer submission that was sent to me through my Discord server, which, passing note, if you're not already on the Discord server, I encourage you to, there should be links in the description and stuff, and on my website and whatever, so if you're interested and you want to keep up with all the, everything going on immediately, I've been doing more on my Discord server first, and then doing, replying to YouTube and stuff like that. So definitely sign up for the the Discord server, YouTube too, if you'd like, if you aren't already. But yeah, I would definitely encourage you to use the Discord server as well, as I'm starting to use it more and more. But this was probably one of the most uniquely built ships that I have seen in a very long time. The name escapes me at the moment. It's the Nevermore Haunted Vessel, and no, I am not alt-tabbing to read that. I just remembered it. But this was an interesting build, and actually I didn't even see the build yet and thought I'd probably end up featuring it because of how odd it was built. I'd never heard of this. So it was a collaboration between two different builders, and there was a wall between them. And they built the ship side by side, but blindly having no knowledge of what the other one was doing. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, huh? How do you do that? And this is the result. I believe, if I remember correctly, it was designed kind of on a ghost ship haunted house type of theme. So I think they were still building with the same kind of theme in mind, but I kind of noticed that it makes sense. It almost looks like a skeletal. You've got kind of like this bone-colored ribbing going on here, so it kind of looks like a skeletal ship on this side. But yeah, I was like, how interesting is that? Now, I've actually thought of maybe incorporating this building style into a type of community let's build. I haven't worked out all the details, but I've been thinking about if I did like half of a ship or half of a frame and then posted on the workshop and then pulled like my favorite results type thing on what you guys did on top of it or on the other side. Let me know what you guys think about that. It wouldn't be quite exact like this because it wouldn't be blind. I wouldn't know what you were going to do, but you would obviously see what I've done. So yeah, I'm not sure if it would work out exactly the same, but let me know in the comments or on my Discord server whether or not you guys would be interested in that type of a thing. Because the idea kind of caught me by surprise when this ship was presented to me, and I was like, I could make a community let's build out of that idea. That's pretty neat. So let me know what you guys think about that, but I'm actually really interested in seeing how this actually turned out, because I keep feeling like there's got to be a disjoint somewhere, right? I mean, you got two different builders that had no idea what the other one was doing. So I can't see it, like, really, there's got to be like a line down the middle, right? So yeah, I'm really intrigued by this ship. It's very interesting. Let's see. So we've got a lab area in the front. So this is the science wing. It's all very nicely decorated with signs. And I also appreciate somebody who's going to ask me to showcase their build. They even left the door open, right? I mean, I don't know if that was on purpose, but if it was, that's hilarious. It's like, not only am I going to clearly designate where the door is, I'm gonna leave it open for you so you don't even have to push a button. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. Let's see. I do like the glass on this side. This left side has some cool glass areas that I think are pretty neat. This is a bit more open floor plan type thing, so I'm going to turn my cat blocks off so that I can move a little quicker through the build. Alright, we've got a sensor trigger there. And there. Okay, so I'm guessing right about here on this line is probably the separation line, would be my guess. And I'm also going to throw out a guess and say that when they finished it and removed the wall barrier in the middle, they also probably cleaned it up a little bit to make it all connect correctly. It would be my guess. I don't know, but it would be my guess. Let's see. So this is kind of almost like a semi-covered flight deck, if you will. You could probably land... There's no connectors, but you could probably land a small... I don't know. My guess is that's about a 1 block high large block, so maybe you could... Maybe a small thin ship, but it looks more like it's kind of an exterior situation. So I did see we've got an upper deck up here, which I'm guessing is bridge, an armory. Where'd this go? Oh, okay, this is actually an external hatch. Gotcha. And this looks like the same thing. A lot of external entry points. They really wanted to make sure... Music? What? Ooh, alright. Okay, that's a new one. Not used to that. There are sound blocks in this game, aren't there? You can tell how often I use them. So that's the bridge. That's kind of weird. Okay, so that's the bridge area. No, I was kind of chuckling though, because there's like 4 or 5 entry points, and I'm like, they really wanted to make sure I could find the door. Oh my gosh. I've got to figure out an acronym to change Hodor into like Fidor or something. That would be funny. I don't know how to do that though. It all sounds weird in my head when I think of it. Okay, so we're in more of an engineering section here. We've got refinery. I said engineering, but it's probably closer to a processing. You got your tanks, gyroscopes, refineries, batteries, jump drives, so it's kind of an all-purpose area. Nice little observing area. That's nice. Nicely done. What do we got here? How in the... Oh, they must have it on a slideshow thing. That's cool. Ooh, I was almost wondering, I was like, how do I walk out here? But there's actually glass. Glass walkway. Nice touch. Nice touch. And this looks like thruster access, probably for repair. Again, engineering side. One thing, I don't think there'd be an issue. I would have said maybe put railings here so you didn't fall off. It's kind of cool, but if you're building practically, I personally would have probably put railings there. But if you want people to fall off, you know, again, it is kind of supposed to be a semi-haunted ship, I guess. Ooh, there's a sneaky little airlock back here. Ooh, okay. Yeah, me and door scripts don't get along well. Alright, I'm getting a little turned around here. Is there anything on the... I'm trying to kind of... This one I'm doing almost side to side first, so let's see where this goes. Oh, this goes out to the exterior area here. Interesting. Okay. The other thing that I'm thinking is when they said it was like a haunted theme, I almost think it would have been a bit more eerie if there wasn't quite so much lighting. I know that sounds weird because I'm usually very like volumetric lighting and all that kind of stuff, but maybe a bit dimmer would have given it an eerier feel, if that's what, you know, if that's the idea. Living quarter lights, living quarter lights, living quarter lights. Okay. I'm guessing that controls different areas of the living quarter. Yeah, it's just a very different build. Like, not even sure if I'd say good or bad. It's just very unique. Very different. Oh, cryo chambers. Can't say I've ever seen them done like that before. You know, it works in the game, but I feel like that's a terrible way to do cryo chambers in real life, because you're going to come out of a cryo chamber like sleepy and incoherent, and you're just going to like fall face first into the floor. So it's kind of one of those like, it works, but man, that'd be a crappy way to wake up. But yeah, I think I've explored everything, so let's go back up to the bridge and get a maneuvering test here. Go back to the spooky bridge with the atmospheric music. That's really odd. I've never seen anybody actually use those blocks before. Okay, so we don't have anything set up on the hotbar, which either means there really isn't anything that needs to be controlled, or it just wasn't set up. Either way, nothing for us to really mess around with there. Overall, I don't see a ton of weapons or anything, so I'm not sure I would use it in a combative situation. But I really do like the interesting look of the exterior, though. It's very different. Alright, so let's see how she flies. Actually, it accelerates pretty quickly. I mean, there's quite a few thrusters on it, but yeah, it actually gets up to... Whoa! It moves! Okay. Maneuverability on this thing is crazy for what it looks like. It looks like a big ship, but it can move. Like, that turn speed is almost fighter level. That's pretty cool. Alright, so it can actually move around. Have fun getting in its blind spot. It'll just spin around on you. Alright, so I think that's going to do it for this one. So let's move on to the last. The last. That's next and last at the same time. The last one. Okay, so this one is another one that I'm pretty excited about. This is the Angled Dart Carrier. I think I got that right. This is a pretty cool design as well, and I'm really looking forward to walking through this one because I love these, like, almost separated builds where you get this kind of hollow point in the center and stuff. I also really love this back part here because I'm pretty sure, I'm not 100%, it didn't list it in the description, but I'm pretty sure they did this on purpose to replicate laser type looks. If so, that's really cool. So essentially it's just putting spotlights close enough together that the beams connect, but from a distance it looks really neat because it kind of looks like it's got some kind of laser bridge type thing, or I don't know, conductive laser coil things connecting. It looks really cool, anyway, is the bottom line to that. It looks really neat. Oh, it has atmosphere thrusters on it. I didn't expect a ship like this to be atmospheric. That's pretty cool. But yeah, and I also really like this internal, I like these almost Death Star trench type setups. These are really cool. It is making use of the hangar doors from Frostbite, it looks like. But it's also got some bigger main doors. Ooh, and they're even labeled. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4. How many we got? That's kind of 5, 6, 7, 8, I guess, if those are all each individual hangars. And then we've got observation decks. I mean, it looks cool. This has got to be a pretty big ship, though. Just looking at the profile of it. So yeah, at least we know we have a few doors that we can use. I'm not sure what the main access point is. I mean, we talk about main access point, but it's like, realistically, a hangar should be the main access point, because you're probably going to be docking with it from another ship, unless you're docked at a space station or something, or to a bigger ship, that would be kind of nuts. But I don't see any side docking ports or anything like that. So I don't think it's designed to hook up to another ship. So I'm going to go out of my way and say, or go out on a limb and say that this is probably supposed to be kind of a mothership carrier thing, not something you dock with. Oh, and this is something that people told me about in the last episode, or second to last episode, that when I saw these, like this, I was like, oh, there's a bigger hangar. And apparently, it's not a bigger hangar. They just put them back to back, and it makes a bigger door, which I did not even think about doing, but again, because of the way the block's designed, you can actually get away with that. And I was like, well, that's pretty cool. I hadn't even thought of that. Alright, so I also kind of like the atmosphere lighting in here. It's an interesting color. It's not like a deep red, but it's also, you know, not just like a plain white light or something. It's actually got a interesting, like mauve almost, or maroon maybe. Something weird. It's an interesting color though. So we've got a little, is this a fighter? Looks like a fighter, or at least small ship, because it's got a couple of chain guns on it, but it could be a cargo ship. Oh, that's cool. We've got a Star Wars snowspeeder back gunner seat over here. That's pretty neat. I really like that, actually. That's pretty cool. Alright, so we got a bigger hangar here, or a slightly bigger hangar. That's probably why those doors are the way that they are, is they're not huge, but it's probably big enough that a small little fighter like that can fit through it. So I'm going to say these are like the fighter hangars. And then this is more of your landing ship or something type thing where you need a bigger door. What do we got going on here? I love these new little half stairs to where you can keep it within a block width. That's really cool. I think we need more half blocks like that. So this just seems to be a hangar door control area. Okay. Liking it so far. And I don't actually have my headlamps on, I don't think. No. So this is all the current just way that the ship is lit itself. We've got a hangar door here, which is always good for maintaining pressure. Conveyor system connections there. Kind of a reception area. It says medical, but I mean, it's kind of like a reception area if you look at it. We've got a med bay here with a lab, or some kind of observation thing. I'm guessing this is the first point where you get a cross area where you can actually go from one side to the other. Before that, I think it's all separated. So I'm guessing diner, especially since that sign says diner. Right there, literally as it was coming out of my mouth, I looked over and saw the sign. It's like, I think this is a diner. Maybe that's why they labeled it as a diner, you dummy. Alright, we've got a reactor here, which is an odd place for a reactor, but it's not exactly a normal design of a ship. Though I'm guessing... Oh wow, this is like 3 or 4 jump drives put together. At least 3. But this is probably the jump drive that you see from the center of that separation in the middle. That's probably the same jump drive stack that you're seeing, so that's interesting. Drive core. I really like the new frostbite doors. I really do. Not so much when they're out like this. I do like them when they're enclosed around the outside. But when they're enclosed, I do actually really like them. Alright, we've got some kind of... Let's actually go down where we were and explore that way first. And then we'll work our way up. So we have some other kind of diner seating area kind of thing. Bunks. Oh, okay, so this is kind of like the emergency crew bunk area, I'm guessing. Conference room. Okay. Oh, this is cool. Actually, this right here, this area, kind of reminds me of one of those Warhammer builds that we featured a while back. That window with the conference room area reminds me of that. I wonder if it's the same build or builder. And this is kind of cool. I don't know if this is accessible or not, but it looks like it is not. I changed my mind. But I like these. We talked about these in, I think, the last episode. These kind of like air duct looking things. That's a nice touch. But even if you can't get to them, it just looks cool. It makes it look like there's more to the ship than there is. So that's a cool little building tactic. Alright, now on this side we've got a shooting range. Hey! They're starting to do what I mentioned of every ship should have a shooting range. I like it. I like where your head's at. And then we've got this side. Now on this side, when you come through the hangar, you have a shopping area, not medical. So if you're injured, park on the right side. If you're shopping, park on the left side. Alright, oh, and a sign. We've got signs. Bridge, reactor maintenance, drive core, storage room. Cool. So we know that's that way. We've got a cryo room here. Oh, that's kind of cool. And let's see, what do we have here? This is some kind of airlock thing. Totally letting the air out, don't care. Alright, so this is more the engineering, storage, etc. Looks like. Keep clear of thrusters. That is a smart thing to do. So this has got to be reverse thrusters. So if you were standing there, that would hurt. We've got a bunch of hydrogen tanks. Holy crap. This thing has to just devour fuel. And we've got... So this may not actually be storage. This may just be for tanks. It looks like. I don't actually see any crates. All I see is the tanks, which actually makes sense now that I think about it, because I'm pretty sure... Oh, that was the other door. Forgot that one. I'm pretty sure that this sign over here actually mentioned storage, did it not? Yeah, okay. So that's why there was no storage there. It's over this way. So once again, this is back in the drive core area. That's a cool little decorative hallway thing. Okay, so we saw the conference room, so we've pretty much seen everything on the ground floor areas. So let's move up to level 3. I thought we were on 1, but I guess that was 2. Alright, so here's some cargo storage areas, so now we're getting to the cargo area. Oh, that's cool. You can look down over the access point. This is kind of a neat touch too, is that you're going to end up accessing that through some way, and then you can walk to the container. That's kind of cool. I like that. Let's see here. Now, the one thing I don't know is, since the front areas were different, are the back areas different, or are they all the same? This is kind of like an interesting idea of giving you a view of the tank storage area. It would be kind of cool. You could easily check and see how much fuel it has and stuff. Okay, so those are... I'm guessing that this is going to start mirroring now in the upper levels. That's my assumption anyway. Okay, so this is the storage access like we saw before, and it looks like that's all there is on this deck, this floor. Actually, you know what's funny is these stairway things with this light row is almost giving me Death Star vibes. Not so much everywhere else, but right here, it kind of looks like you could just fall off forever from this point of view, and with the glow of the red lights and things, it kind of reminds me of the Death Star. Or Imperial. Let's go with Imperial. Okay, so this looks like the main bridge. Go figure, I just mentioned Imperial, and it kind of looks like this is how the Empire had their Death Stars, with that whole sunk-in officer stations and things like that. So maybe we're onto something with the whole Death Star type thing. I mean, it kind of on the exterior sorta looks like a Star Destroyer-ish, maybe, kind of, not really, but maybe with a similar building design. Server room, so that's where all your remote and timer, and it looked like programmable blocks pretty much reside. And then we have the main bridge, which I like the decorative flair of adding some plants. You need some greenery in your bridge. Okay, so control-wise, we have atmospheric thrusters, brakes, so that's interesting. You can turn on and off the hydrogen reverse thrusters. That's kind of interesting. Oxygen generators, fuel tanks, I'm not sure what on-off, maybe stockpile is on-off. Jump drive controls, or for range and then jumping. Timer block for opening and close. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that that's for the hangar doors, since I don't see any hangar controls, which we don't really need to mess with too much. Holy crap! For the size of this ship, I did not expect it to accelerate and decelerate that quickly. Wow, no wonder it has so many fuel tanks. This has to burn through fuel. Alright. And actually, it's not a fighter, but for the size of the ship, you can see the weight down there in the HUD right there. It actually turns pretty well for that size of a ship. I mean, again, probably like a heavy Corvette or destroyer or something, not quite like a fighter, but it's also not your typical capital ship of give me an hour so I can turn around. Yeah, I really like it. I really like this ship. This is a really cool design, actually. Very different. So I think that's going to do it for this episode. So with that, we're going to wrap things up here. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, and I will see you all next time. Peace.